really hard to put your spouse ahead of this like body that came out of you.
Can we recap this for a second? Because I thought our story was going to be the worst one, but you guys are giving it rough. So I feel like you set me up to feel good about my potential stalking.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things
with Shawn and Andrew,
a podcast all about couples and the things they go through.
Are you excited about today?
I am so excited. Massive girl crush.
So Shawn and I worked for about 6 weeks to get this couple on the show. We met them in...
Andrew harassed the husband for about 6 weeks.
That's right. We met them in Boston back in February, and we were really impressed by them, really vibed with them well.
Wow.
And I'm super thankful that they took the time to join us. But we're talking about Andy Roddick and Brooklyn Decker.
Yes, Brooklyn Decker, American model. I mean, she's titled American model, but it should be international model. Everyone knows who she is. Plus, actor. Do you say actor or actress? I just say actor.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, she's been an actor on so many different movies. My favorite being What to Expect When Expecting. I watched this movie when I was pregnant. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life. I could not breathe.
I don't think I've ever seen you laugh that hard. She also built and sold her own fashion company.
Yes, which was amazing. It was called Finery. And she's also a huge part to Andy and her foundation called the Andy Roddick Foundation.
And Andy Roddick, of course, is a legendary tennis player. He reached #1 in the world in 2003 and retired when he was just at the age of 30, kind of abruptly, which I really respect. He has a really cool story about how that all went down.
They're also mom and dad to 2, which is amazing. We talk about that. We talk about kids, naming kids. We talk about the hardships of relationships, especially for them because they had thriving careers that took them on opposite ends of the world and how to make the relationship work.
They share some really good wisdom as well as some really good humor. So we're excited for this one. But before we jump into it, if you guys haven't yet, please give the show a rating and subscribe to it on whatever platform you're listening. And let's go ahead and jump into this one with Andy Roddick and Brooklyn Decker. All right. Andy, Brooklyn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having us.
I kind of want to start just by, Andy, you and Shawn have something in common. You probably don't know what it is, but it's the fact that when I got each of your phone numbers, I didn't stop texting you until I kind of got what I wanted. So out of you as dating, fortunately for you, Andy, it was just...
You harassed him?
Would you say what I was doing to you is it harass?
No, I was appreciating your, so as you know, we kind of agreed in theory to do it, you know, in the next week, and then drilling down on time, you know, I'm sure our daughter took a dump or something, and then I kind of just forgot about it. And he was sending me he would send like a meme, which was like a guy going, well. The way to kind of insist upon a time was done with a lot of humor, which I appreciate.
And then the way I hear about it is, oh yeah, Brooklyn and Andy are going to be on the podcast today. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't know they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
That's not wrong, because here we are, you know.
Well, I apologize.
Well, a lot's happened since we first met.
Oh my gosh.
I guess the first couple of days in March when we bumped into you in Boston, and
yeah,
we all are locked up in
Everyone
our homes.
was just starting to bump elbows back then.
Yeah,
the whole quarantine wasn't in effect.
I thought it was dumb and annoying when people were doing that in Boston, but they were right. I was wrong.
Thank you.
Oh,
I bumped your elbow.
Yeah, I was about to say I was we're like walking in and I was like, don't you touch anyone's hand.
Yeah. I was that way. I was getting so mad at him. I'm like, stop touching stuff. Wash your hands.
Yeah. I saw your post, Brooklyn, about your dad works in healthcare. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. My mom used to as well. She was a critical care nurse and she's now retired, but my dad is still a healthcare employee. And so, yeah, he's in and out of hospitals every day.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Socially distanced dinner was really cute. The table settings and the whole thing, it was great. But
they were, they've like been missing the kids and they've been away, and my brother has a 2-week-old baby. They just had their third.
Oh.
Wow.
She amazing wife, my sister-in-law, gave birth like in a pull in all of this. And of course she's like, it's no big deal. It's, you know, coronavirus, having a baby, not a big, I can't imagine.
A birthing center pool, not like someone's
no,
backyard.
a birthing Right. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
I think
just in the backyard pool.
Like, she was so relaxed. Like, it's stressful enough, but then to go through that in the middle of this is even, you know, can you imagine how stressful that would be? And she was like, no big deal. Anyway, my parents haven't been able to meet the baby and they were really missing the kids. So yeah, we did this socially distanced dinner at our house and they ate dinner in the front yard and we ate on the porch and it was really nice.
That's adorable.
It was really sweet.
Yeah. I feel like if there is an upside and a perk to all of this, it's that people are going to such great lengths to have community and family and still interact with one another. I mean, we've been playing like game night over Zoom every other night with a bunch of friends from all over the country. And it's just been cool. It's been cool to see like the efforts people are going to. Yeah. And all the videos from like Italy of people singing to like on their balconies just makes me cry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A lot of beauty, sure, which is, we need to hold on to that, to those gifts, because if we don't, we'll drown in the dark that's coming out of it as well. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are indulging in that. It's good.
Yes.
So we were joking about perseverance at the beginning, but we always love to start off the episodes hearing how couples met. And I feel like perseverance applies to that story as well. Could you guys tell the story?
Sure.
So, should I tell my version? So I feel like you set me up to feel good about my potential stalking the way you may or may not have gone about your courtship of Shawn. But yeah, I mean, basically I watched this, there was a show that she was on SI.com, and it was a show about football, about basic gambling, or
we were making our weekly picks.
Yeah, weekly picks, and it was against an awesome former journalist named Dr. Z, like one of the old school guys who had this notebook full of amazing statistics and records, and kind of like how we envision, like how we romanticize old school journalism. This was him, and he unfortunately passed it last year. But I would watch her on the show, and I'm like, wow, this beautiful girl, Southern accent, talking about football picks every week. And so basically I just like full court press tried to figure out her number. I wrote her, and then she didn't write me back for six months.
He says right, like it was like to be clear, his attorney called my agent. That was, I wrote her. No. It was very, like, you hear those Hollywood stories where like people called your people and you don't, they're real, they're gross. I'm sure you guys have experience with that. And yeah, he did that. His attorney called my agent several times and we just didn't respond because I don't know. We just didn't respond. I didn't call him back for 5 months. And then at 5 months later, I was living in New York and I had moved from North Carolina and I didn't have a lot of friends in New York and I was really missing home. And so my agent, who's my now manager, said, why don't you call this guy back? Like, worst case scenario, it's a bad first date. And I said, okay, I will. And he took my phone and dialed Andy's phone number in my phone. And then pushed send, like pushed talk.
Oh my God.
I had my Palm Pilot at the time. This was 2007. And I called him back, and then you had a voicemail, which he doesn't anymore. You had a voicemail. I left him a message.
Yeah.
And the message was like, because I was underage, the message was like, hey, so I don't know if you've been calling me for 5 months. I don't know if you remember, but I'd love to get a drink if you're ever in New York. I mean, I'm not
underage, meaning drinking.
Yeah, wait. I
say, whoa, what?
No.
I saw Andrew's face, and he's like, oh God.
I was like, were you 17?
This is a couple material.
No.
That's why I had my lawyer involved.
I was angry because I said, if you want to get a drink when you come to New York, give me a call. And then I said on the voicemail, I'm saying all of this. This is just verbal vomit. I said, but I mean, I'm underage. Like we can't technically go to a bar because I can't technically drink yet, but like we can get a coffee. So I'm saying all.
You can buy me a beer from a gas station and bring it out.
Anyway, he called me back, and by the way, did y'all hear that ding?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Turn him off. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So he called me back, and then we met 2 weeks later, and we were engaged 8 months after that.
That's amazing. On the first date, You were like, okay, this guy's pretty cool.
Who are you asking? Because our answers might be different.
How about both?
No.
I knew much faster than she did.
No. I didn't know. I did not know on the first date or the third date or the third month. But I got there.
At what point during the first date did you know that there could be a second date?
I knew in the middle of I knew at the beginning of the first date there would be another date. Like I knew I really liked him, and he was very funny. And we went to a UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. It's an improv troupe in New York. We went to one of their shows, so it was we could test each other's sense of humor, which was sort of by design.
Wow.
And so I knew I really liked him, but I was so young. I wasn't thinking along those lines.
We already discussed she was way underage.
Yeah, she was what, 12, 13 maybe?
That sounded,
I know. I see them
terrible.
change looks back and forth. You just said it and didn't even, it was like.
I meant for drinks.
Yeah.
So,
I figured it out.
Yeah, I think I just wasn't in that mindset, but I got there pretty quickly.
So, okay, you said you went to see improv and test each other's sense of humor by design. This is interesting. I just finished reading a book called 30 Lessons on Loving. Guy who interviews like people who are 65 and over to kind of get life and love lessons from them. And one of the biggest ones was when you're meeting a potential spouse, find out what their sense of humor is, because humor plays such a big role in relationships and how you navigate problems. What was the inspiration to want to do that? Was that by design?
Well, I think first dates are like scary, especially if you think you're really intrigued by the person. And so I figured if we go to dinner, creating 6 hours of conversation with someone you don't know, like under the gun is hard, right? So we had a really nice dinner beforehand. And for me, like if someone can't laugh at a joke or, isn't entertained by something, or that's like a tell. And so I figured it would be kind of a nice way to, at least get a read on each other without actually having to create new content for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was basically just lazy.
Yeah. I feel like
It was. I don't want the pressure of carrying on this conversation or making her laugh. So I'm going to go to something where other people make her laugh. And it worked. I mean, I think it was just so much fun. They had a great cast that night, and it was a great first date. For anyone out there who's thinking about first date ideas, going to see some comedy is a great way to do it.
It was great.
And then
we went back to my place and it was fantastic.
No, we didn't. No, I don't give a shit if you do, but I did not do that.
We definitely did not.
Oh, you guys are a little more conservative with that? You're slow. No first kiss or first date kisses?
I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm telling you, not for months.
There was no first date kiss.
Wow.
No, it was like very, I don't know. We were very slow about that whole process.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you guys?
We
we went on our first date and I was not interested, and it took him 9 months to convince me to go on another date. Yeah.
Oh.
Perseverance.
Wait.
Uh,
Why?
Yeah.
Why didn't it, like, what happened date one?
That's a good question, Shawn.
Well, dang. I had just turned 21. I had gotten drunk. Mm-hmm. I was in a bad breakup with someone. I had got a number from his brother that I met at the Olympics and texted him in the middle of the night one night. I was like, you should come out to LA. He lived in Nashville. I lived in LA. I fell asleep. I woke up at 8 a.m. and he was on a flight, and I got super freaked
out.
Yeah. I got super freaked out.
Yeah.
So then I had my guard up the entire day, and I was like, you flew out here after receiving a message at 1 a.m.
In retrospect, alcohol, funny enough, played a rather large role in our relationship, because
it was actually his 21st birthday. I was the first person to text him on his 21st birthday at 1 a.m. And
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
just by chance, because she was drinking wine. And then when we went on our first date 2 days later, because I jumped on a flight to LA.
2 days later. It was the next morning.
Okay, you're right. Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to, save face a little bit. Our first date was Shawn going. Have you guys ever been to the Grove in LA? It's like a little
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To every place that sold alcohol, and she bought different she bought me a different alcohol because I never drank alcohol before I was 21.
Yeah.
And so she was, she was the first.
Which I didn't believe. I was like,
but
correct.
How did you handle that? Because that's like a really, I mean, getting drunk for the first time, that puts you in a pretty vulnerable state. Right? Like not knowing how you're going to act in front of this person you like.
I didn't think he acted any different, which then sketched me out even more because I'm like, you're telling me you've never drank before, but you're acting normal. I don't know. Yeah. I just had red flags from the beginning.
Wait. Can we recap this for a second? Because I thought our story was going to be the worst one, but you guys are giving it
first. It's just a little more strange.
Okay, he shows up at 8 a.m. They go around.
Can I pause you there? What made you jump on a flight? Like, what made you? Had you?
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Had you buying Shawn? Had she been someone you were in love with for a long time? Like, what made you take that leap of faith so early on?
Kind of a similar situation as Andy. I knew who Shawn was. I watched some of what she did, and I was like, that girl is adorable.
Well, and then I met his brother at the Olympics, and we had talked for like 4 hours. He was a friend of mine's teammate, and he just kept raving about his younger brother. He's like, you have to meet him. You'd be perfect for him. I think you guys are like meant to be, and just wouldn't shut up.
So I created a Twitter account so I could slide into her DMs, got her number. And then, well, the reason I flew out to LA was because I was like, she knew when my birthday was, and she intentionally was the first one to text me. And I was like, what a sweet thing. But it was not that. No. It was just by happenstance.
Yeah.
So 8 a.m. land straight to the Grove. You're basically now. So you choose basically to go de facto bar hopping in the Grove, which for those of you who don't know what the Grove is, it's like the most tourist commercial shopping space in all of Los Angeles.
Like lots of strollers.
Like there's a lot of strollers.
Yes.
There's like a Santa.
Listen, hey, we're the ones asking you questions, okay? We're supposed to be asking you questions.
Wait, can I have one more question? So what year was this?
2013.
Yep.
Okay. So I think this is really interesting because I don't want to detour the conversation, but
we already have.
That's true. We met in 2007, which was the year the iPhone came out.
Wow.
Okay. So we met like pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram, pre-sliding into DMs. Was that, I mean,
that would have made things a lot easier for me. I'm just telling you.
How big of a factor was that though? Because like that, do you find that it makes it easier, or do you find that like you're less likely to trust because of that piece of it? Like how much did that play into your relationship early on?
That's you, because you were the famous one, not me.
I think it actually kind of helped because it was like a degree less like vulnerable than actually texting each other or like getting his number from his brother. It felt more removed, so you could kind of feel each other out in a public forum before you had to get more personal.
That makes sense. It's like a buffer.
Yeah.
So can I ask one more question before we before we give your podcast back to you? So disaster at the Grove happens, then 9 months of space. Like how did round two come about?
So this is what I was talking about at the beginning. I literally would text her until she responded. And so I'm curious, what do you guys view? View as the appropriate number of like the max number of text messages you can send before you just
not in a day?
And the other person doesn't respond
either.
You know?
You weren't texting me like 40 times a day.
No, but my number was like 8. I was like, if she doesn't respond after 8, which in retrospect seems like a lot.
In a day or like throughout over months?
No, it'd be like over like a 3-week period. Yeah.
You just came up with the number 8.
Dude, well, because like when you're looking at the screen, it's like if you're scrolling and it's all me, that hurts my pride.
Yeah. I think the scroll is right. Do you have to scroll? If so.
Yeah. Andy, don't.
I would have been like rationalizing it if I had to scroll. I'd be like making the font smaller so I get up to like 20 before I scroll.
So, all right,
so it was persistence that paid off. I mean, you're here.
He kept texting, and it was ridiculous. And I would respond just like,
you're there.
He finally sent this like long message, which he had never done before. It was always like these short one-liners. And he sent this cheesy, literally out of a movie book. And he's like, Miss Johnson, if football has taught me anything, it's how to persevere. And basically, this is my last chance. If you don't respond, I'll leave you alone for good. But would you please accompany me to the CMA Fest here in Nashville? And I was like, oh my gosh.
I'm a poet.
And I was like, sure.
Okay? I'm a poet. I can mold words in a special way.
I flew out to Nashville and I fell in love in the first
Listen,
day.
Andy,
I was like, okay.
you went through lawyers. You probably had NDAs signed and contracts negotiated. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get
By the
this
way,
thing back
neither one
up.
of you has any ground to stand on. Like, no, neither one of you can one up each other. To be clear.
I can relate though, because we're both fine settling right into whatever judgments you guys will levy on us.
Same.
Okay, to get this thing back on track, I do have to say, Andy, I was watching. If you've seen, someone made like a highlight reel of your comedy on YouTube. Have you seen this? It's very short.
Not many people go YouTube themselves.
It's like 9 minutes of you just interview highlights, but both of you seem to have a fantastic sense of humor.
Yes.
We were watching your lip sync battle.
Amazing.
But your outfit that you wore, Andy, is pretty much that was my college apparel, like wardrobe. So kind of the Rastafarian.
That was oh, you're talking about the Bruno Mars? You dressed like Bruno Mars in college?
Pretty much. The drug rug with the,
Yeah.
This was
That
before
might
me.
explain the disaster at the Grove.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
And you did sober. You said you weren't drinking. That's a fascinating choice.
Yes.
I'm making myself look bad on this. I'm realizing.
You're cute. It's okay.
No. Very candid.
But we also, we have both been on Family Feud. I wanted to know how your experience was. You guys did better than us.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
We haven't seen yours. We need to go search for it because we love the show.
It was
so much fun doing it. So my parents are big fans. My brother's a big fan, and we've been wanting to go on for a while, and like scheduling wouldn't work out. And then our friend Bobby Bones, fellow Nashville guy, was doing the show with his show and asked us to come play against him because he is an old friend of ours from Austin. And so we rallied the troops and went out together. And it was fun to do it with them because you really know each other and you're all friends, and we had a good time. It was fun. My mom was like so pervy the whole time, which was a shock.
Yeah.
We were like, that's grandma. She was so like, she was really hitting on Steve. It was wildly inappropriate.
It's pretty gross.
It was kind of gross.
Other than that, we had a great time. What about you guys?
It was fun.
No, I was gonna say, like, I was just gonna agree with you, but her mom like turned into Diva. Steve was like, "Hi, Tess, how are you?" She's like, "Hey, Steve." When did you turn into a pervert? Like, what are you doing?
Just on national TV.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
That's so.
It's
funny.
intense though. They kind of just throw you out there.
That's it.
Yeah. I thought it was like going to be like a dress rehearsal, and they're like, "No, this is it. We're going." I was like, "Oh, okay."
First of all, Brooklyn, you dominated the fast money round.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Andy, you got lucky. We were dominating the whole show until the last round when they do like the triple money, and then we lost it there, so we didn't make it to the fast money. But our story with Family Feud is we walked off stage after we lost because you kind of rush into the instruction manual of the whole thing, and so we thought that as soon as we didn't win, we would just leave stage.
So our entire family walked off the stage.
Yeah, it looked like bad sportsmanship.
Steve ran at that one.
There was no icy. There was no like, yay, you did it. No, you just left.
We just left. It was funny. It was bad.
So we've been trying something new for the past 3 or 4 months, and I actually saw a commercial for it back a couple months ago. I was really interested because I had to try it out.
You claim that you saw it on a commercial and you take credit for like introducing it to our life, but I'm the one who introduced it.
Okay,
it's Noom. It's this app, and it's amazing because right after I had Drew, you just find yourself in a funk of, trying to figure out a healthy lifestyle, trying to figure out any type of self-care while trying to take care of a baby. And Noom has been awesome because pretty much holds your hand through the whole lifestyle changing process.
They really do encourage you in so many different ways. They give you a coach, they give you a community of other Noomers so you can all talk about your progress. And then they also do a really good job at educating. So every day, it just takes like 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And every day you get on there, it'll ask you to log your food. It's got one of the biggest food databases in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of teaches you something. And so it really is more than just a dieting app. It's like this whole health lifestyle program.
I feel like diets for the most part are like one size fits all. And Noom actually does it perfectly in understanding that. It doesn't just try to tell you, well, if you don't eat this, you're going to lose 30 pounds. You don't have to change it all in one day. Small steps make big progress. You can sign up for your trial today at Noom, NOOM.com/couple. What do you have to lose? Visit Noom.com/couple to start your trial today. That's Noom, NOOM.com/couple.
Shawn, do you remember when we did that YouTube video where you waxed my legs?
I do.
That's pretty wild.
I used to like janky wax on you too, intentionally. There's a new one that I just subscribed to. I've been subscribing to Flamingo, which is the most beautiful like shaving and waxing accessory subscription box.
So they have a lot of body care products. You started with the razor and then you came across their waxing kit.
Yes, which it's good wax. So it's like an all-in-one head to toe waxing kit, which is perfect given the circumstances everyone's in at home right now. You guys should try the Flamingo head to toe wax kit today at shopflamingo.com/EastFam. You get 20 face wax strips, 24 body wax strips, post wax cloths, and calming aloe vera serum for just $19.
Dang.
I know, it's amazing. And it ships free. CY Refinery 29 calls it the only at-home wax strips they've not hated. I mean, I would definitely back that. Get yours today for just $19 plus free shipping at shopflamingo.com/EastFam.
So after months you guys got engaged, Brooklyn, when did you start feeling like, was that, it seemed like you were able to get going, but once you settled in, like you, and
then you have to share the proposal.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's the worst.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's funny. Like it was slower for me, but again, not because of him or anything that was wrong with him or anything that was wrong with our situation or relationship. It was really because, you know, I was living in New York. I was 20. All my friends were in college. Like I just wasn't thinking marriage at that stage. It wasn't where I was at. It wasn't where you were at. I mean, we were kids. We were just kids. And then I don't really know when that flipped, but I think we really benefited from being sort of in that infatuation stage. And I think had we not gotten engaged and married so quickly and we would have let the relationship run its course, like relationships should probably do, I don't know that we would be together now, simply because I think not because of anything, because of him or me, maybe because of me, but I think simply because like we would have been adults and found flaws and it would have been easier to walk away with both of us traveling and having crazy schedules. But because we were married, we're like, oh, we have to make this work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Our hardest thing was the first. So what would have been, let's say, the second 2 years of like a normal relationship before you get engaged, we were married and apart for, you know, up to like 5-6 weeks at a time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So had we not actually been concrete and made a promise and, you know, had vows to honor and this, that, and the other, it would have been an easier conversation to discuss whether, you know, 6 weeks followed by another 5 weeks with 2 days kind of sandwiched in the middle would be a responsible relationship to have.
Right.
But since we had kind of taken that step and made that commitment, there wasn't really a choice.
It wasn't an option. Yeah, it would have been very easy in that stage, I think, to be like, oh, let's take a break. We're obviously on a different parts of the world for up to 2 months at a time. Like, let's just take a break right now. And I think because we were married, we really made it work, which is, thank God we did. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that was a really long way of answering your question. I think I got there slower simply because of like age, and it just wasn't where our friends were. It wasn't where we were. But I think we were just it was like immature obsession, infatuation that we like had to get married. We we had to be together forever. And it was incredibly naive, but it's exactly the thing that made us work.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Just definitely the first 2 years, at least I think, were the hardest of our relationship, of 2 years of actual marriage. And then
for sure,
you get through that, and then it's been, relatively easy since then, at least from my end, probably not for her.
Brooklyn's
face. Ups and downs. But no, it's been like, I agree that those first 2 years were really hard. And we have a rhythm, and it ebbs and flows, and it's really overall very good.
I'm curious, Andy, when you were transitioning out of your career, how did that affect your guys' relationship?
It was just better. I'm sure, I don't know, you seem like the nicest human that's ever walked earth, but so I was brutal when I played. I was selfish. I had to work out a certain time. I had blinders on, it would be, we'd be in a city and she'd be like, I want to go, let's go walk somewhere and get lunch. I'd be like, well, it's hot outside. I'm going to sweat. I need fluid, I had, everything kind of had to be, kind of perfect. So I would think that once I stopped, I know Brooke and a lot of our close friends and family thought that it was going to be, and I did it like spur of the moment, like all of a sudden I just retired. I think everyone thought it was gonna be brutal, and I think everything was kind of easy from then on out, because I left this like kind of part of my psychosis on the back burner a little bit. I don't know. I think it was easier. I think it was better for our relationship when I retired.
I agree. I remember there was one morning, it was so funny to me. It was so Andy at the time. We were sitting together, and you said you guys have like 5 to 10 people a day come to your house. We are the same. And especially when he was playing, it was like, he had electrotherapy, had this workout. We had so many people coming and helping him, excel at his profession. And so there was one morning where just the two of us were having this incredible breakfast and just really enjoying the quiet and conversation. It was like one of those magical mornings that you get once in a blue moon, and it was great. And all of a sudden Andy's like, oh my gosh, I have a workout at 8. And so he's like, he abruptly ends the breakfast, and he's getting ready to go. And I'm like, well, who are you working with? Because I used to know most of the guys he would work out with, and I would work out with his trainer. So I'm like, who are you working with? Who is Lance coming? Who's here? Who's coming over? He's like, oh no, it's just me. I'm like, wait, but you have a workout he in his mind had scheduled his own workout for 8 with himself. So he was willing to like interrupt and end this like lovely morning because he had to go like on the elliptical by himself. And I said, like, why don't you a half hour? It's just you, like, just push it. We're having such a great time. He's like, nah, 8 o'clock. He was very rigid about all of that.
That sounds like you.
I am curious. You mentioned that the first couple of years of marriage were hard. Both of you have had wildly successful careers, and it is in a day and age where there's less and less traditional marriages going on, and there's ambitious women, thankfully, like where before it was more the traditional. I feel like I'm talking myself into a hole right now.
You know what I'm saying?
There were traditional relationship dynamics of the past that no longer are as prevalent.
Yes. And both of you have flourishing careers, and how did you balance and make sacrifices to help support each other during that time when you're both pursuing what you wanted to get,
I think there were times where we failed miserably at it. I think, we resented each other for being selfish, but we had to be selfish to be successful. And then there were other phases where we knew that this was a phase of life that we each had to kind of strike while the iron was hot and like really pursue, even at the expense of each other's happiness. Like it really ebbed and flowed. And I think since you've retired, I think now we've definitely, if one person wants to do something or pursue something or take time to focus on something, the other is incredibly supportive and is like, I got the kids, go do your thing, go take that trip, go work on this project. Like, I think we've really found a balance there. But I would say early on, we weren't great at it. We were pretty selfish about it. And arguably we had to be, because we both are in careers, and especially as an athlete, you guys can understand this. Like, you do have such a short window, and you really have it's all consuming, and it should be. That's your responsibility as an athlete, right? If you're going to make it count. So I don't think we were very good at it early on. And now I think we've kind of mastered it since, but our workload's a lot less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, I don't know that there was a balanced system in place. It was basically like, I mean, she would all of a sudden get a movie that's shot for 6 months in Hawaii. And it's like, I don't know how you actually make a plan for that. It's like, okay, we'll go there. And, I have to play in Asia in September, October. And so I'll stop on the way over. I'll try to get my coach to come with me. Maybe I can spend 3 days, so it was tough. I mean, and the other thing that we failed at, I think, was because at the end of the day, we would say, oh gosh, we're so lucky we get to do all this stuff. People have way bigger struggles, right? Obviously, like we don't worry about employment or food or, whatever it was. So because we didn't have major life issues, we didn't give our problems credit in the sense that like, okay, this is a problem, we should be able to fix it. It was just like, we don't really have big problems because they're not the same problems as everyone else. So maybe I don't know that we gave our own problems of being apart and not giving enough time to kind of the us of things. I just don't think we gave that enough credit in the moment, because we thought we should probably be tougher than that, because we didn't view our problems as major.
Yeah.
Fascinating what you're saying about the whole, how you were as like when you were playing versus the end of your career. Yeah, we've had those conversations where I don't think I would have been able to be in a relationship when I was training. I know how people do it. I think it's incredible. And I think what made us work so well when he was playing was I understood that so much of the sacrifices that you have to take, the mindset, and it's like, oh, you have your workout, fine, go. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to experience that, because it was very psycho when I was training.
But you have to be, just like you were saying, Brooklyn, like, in order to be successful, you have to ditch your peaceful morning and go do that 8 a.m. workout by yourself. So
I feel like a lot of couples, though, struggle with that, with whatever career it is that they're going for. I feel like most couples, or a lot of couples, fall victim to the belief that you have to sacrifice your dreams and careers for the relationship. And I think it's really cool that you guys have figured out that you don't have to do that. You can respect each other's dreams and ambitions and support them and understand the phases of relationships will go through.
And give it time to work through too.
Yeah, I think now, I mean, I don't know that I can't even think of a conversation post like my tennis career and just dealing with geography and logistical issues that would kind of frustrate me. It's like, now it's, if she has her show, or if she built and sold a company, I think now where it's like, yeah, go do it. Like it's almost like the complete opposite of, I would say now we kind of support 100% of what the other person wants to do.
Yeah.
On the work side.
Okay. So I want to jump back. What was that?
Oh no.
Have to jump back. We have to hear the proposal, the engagement. I'm trying to brush that under the rug.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Are you really? Okay. So I'll just. You can go right there. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. I hear it. So Andy was playing in Indian Wells in Palm Springs. And he's the worst at surprises. The worst. Okay. The worst. And so he said to me in Palm Springs, we haven't told our family this. He was like, hey, so I have the engagement ring with me. Do you want to see it? I'm like, no, I don't want to see it. He's like, let me get you. I'll just flash it. I'm like, don't, no. So of course he brings out the ring and flashes it. So I've seen the ring. I know it's there, but I think that it's like the the proposal's coming a few months later. So
wait, he showed you the ring.
Yeah, he showed me the ring. It was ridiculous. and it was so bizarre. I said how you showed me the ring. I don't know if we told our parents that.
No, it was terrible.
He showed me the ring. And then as just a side note, I had chipped my tooth the day before the proposal. So I went to CVS and got one of those mouth guards just to
I don't remember that part.
I was grinding so badly that I chipped my tooth. I had a chipped tooth. And he's a mess, and he shows me the ring, and he loses to this player named Tommy Haas in Palm Springs, and he's all angry. And we get back to the hotel where we're staying, and he's like, I'm gonna go for a walk, which was really, he didn't take, I mean, losses hurt, especially at slams, but like he wasn't one of those people who would like, if he lost, I didn't get the brunt of it. Like he wasn't upset when he came home. He didn't need time to think about it. Like it was part of his job, and he kind of moved through it pretty quickly. So he said he needed to go for a walk, which I thought was strange. And he goes for a walk. I'm like, oh, maybe, I don't know, he's stressed out, whatever. Goes for a walk. I think like 20 minutes later, I hear a knock on the door. And I open the door, no one's there. And my first instinct is like, oh my God, he's hiding in the bushes. He's trying to scare, like he's pulling a prank on me. So I close the door.
Kind of.
And I hear the knock again, and I open the door, and I'm like, Andy, what are you doing? And I close the door, don't see him there. I hear another knock. I'm like, what is, it's on the back balcony of our room, had like a little terrace on the back. It's on the back door, and I go, and I open the door, and Andy is on his knee.
I want to hide right now.
He has broken a branch off of a bush.
It was a flower.
It was like a holly bush with like holly, you know, and some berries. Like he had broken a branch off a bush, and he's on his knee, and his
flower.
Just
tendonitis in my knees. I'm on my knees. She won't come to the back door. Oh my God, just sit here. I'm dying here.
So he was like, oh, my knees are hurt. Can I stand up? Like stands up. Yes, you did. He stands up, and he's like, oh my God, the ants. There's ants on this thing. He throws the bush on the table, and then he goes through the whole like spiel, which was very sweet. I don't really remember exactly what he said. And then
it must have been great.
And then he gives me the ring that he had already shown me in the room a couple of days prior, and that was it. That was the proposal.
It was so
bad. I love it so much.
It's amazing.
I mean, like it was weird because I had this plan where she lived with
don't get into that.
Some people in New York who were terrible.
I lived with two dudes when we met, and they were not a good situation.
Yeah. So I'd gotten an apartment, and it was going to be there, and I was, and then that was like 3 weeks away. We had like, it was like 10, 12 days where we were together before, the next tournament started, and
couldn't wait.
It's okay. It worked out. It worked out. It's all that matters.
Andy, to make you feel a little better about it, I didn't plan at all for ours. I drove up to Chicago to meet Shawn. I had just gotten the ring in, and she was throwing out the first pitch at a Cubs game, and I was like, I'm going to do it right now. And so I walked out. He walked
out after I threw the pitch and just did it.
Game.
Yeah.
Dude.
What?
Yeah. It was
after.
Yeah.
Did you know it's coming?
No. So mad at him that day. He was acting such a D-bag. I was so mad. Like, I was there for work, and it was this promotion and whatever, and being so standoffish to everyone. And again, I'm derailing. I'm sorry. Funny story. I made ESPN's not top 10 because I threw a first pitch, and it went straight into the ground in front of me.
Terrible at ball sports, bro.
And
terrible.
Better and better.
It was like 6 years later that I had been turning pitches. So like, I can't do this. And then the Cubs asked, and I was like, fine. So Andrew worked with me for months to like make sure I could throw this first pitch. And he promised me that when we got there, he would like warm up with me and like help me out. And he was MIA. He was like on his phone on like the side of the, what do you call it? The sidelines?
The dugout?
The dugout. There you go. Sorry. I was so pissed. And then I threw the first pitch. I was walking out with cameras, and I was like, what are you doing out here? You're not supposed to be out here. Because I thought it was like for an interview. And I was like pushing him away, and he got down on one knee. And I was like, oh,
I
crap.
didn't come out with cameras. I didn't like tell the camera guy like, hey, watch this. Anyway, but it was not good either way. Don't ask questions,
amazing.
Andy. No questions, Andy.
We're going to watch it as soon as we get off this. I can't wait.
My only takeaway is because you look at just how to make I failed, but I didn't have any witnesses.
It was a private.
Yeah.
That's true.
I didn't have witnesses.
He pulled it off, and it was great.
Oh, man.
Okay, wait.
Documented.
So you guys get married. Next phase of life. I just have to ask because we're here. Babies. 2 beautiful babies. How did babies change the relationship and the situation?
I think it made it, I mean, our level of exhaustion, it's like nothing I've ever experienced in my life, but I think it made us so much better. I think, yeah, I mean, it made it so much better. I think we have so many things to laugh about now and to share with each other. And we always have each other's backs when it comes to the kids. I mean, I think we obviously have significantly less time for each other. A stink bug just flew right behind us.
I see him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not like
Wait,
bugs?
do they actually stink?
No, we've never smelled one.
We'll let you know.
Okay.
I can see him right there. Sorry, I heard him fall and I thought maybe he fell on us. He's right there. So I think it made things so much more full and interesting and just loving and great.
Yeah, I think the level of appreciation that you have, like even just seeing what you like, the time that you're in right now, Shawn, where the baby needs you and relies on you, and even not to get too deep into the weeds, but birthing process and seeing what nurture actually looks like in real time made my respect for Brooke grow, you know, a million times over where it already was, which is, you know, through the roof already. So I think the appreciation of your partner, when it kind of connects through this thing that you both love so much, you felt like a team where it's not like you're getting where it's like my thing, your thing, and then we work it out kind of in the middle parts. I think you become like this kind of, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but this kind of entity outside of your own relationship. And for me, the appreciation just went through the roof. And I also like, I never worry about, we kind of agree on most parenting decisions. We have the same parent. So I think that could maybe potentially cause conflict, and it's not something that we really dealt with as far as what we think and how it should go. So I think it's been great for us.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You have a daughter named Stevie. We have a daughter named Drew. Do you guys get a lot of feedback on the name, the gender neutral name?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the gender thing, I'm like, whatever. They're all babies. Who cares if they look like a girl or a boy? I don't care. But yeah, people have a really hard time with Stevie as a name. They're like, so that's her full. That's it.
I think it's adorable.
I love it. I love it. Oh, as soon as
I'm not sure how much you go with Drew, but you're gonna have the moment where it's like you're sick because, you know, baby, you can't tell if a baby's a boy or a girl at a certain age. It's like unless it's defined by what color they're wearing. You know, it's kind of like the tell. So Brooke didn't want to dress Stevie in pink like all the time.
I don't like pink.
So
same.
Yes.
So Stevie would go out dressed like every other baby, but not wearing pink. It's like, oh, you know, what a cute boy. And it's like, well, and then I'm like, you hear it every day. So I'm like, it's a girl. I'm like, oh, girl. And they're like, well, what's its name? I'm like, Stevie.
Yeah.
Like, I can see where that's confusing.
Ours is even harder because it's Drew. And
you tell a story of when we were filling out the birth certificate.
Yeah, we were literally filling out the birth certificate in the hospital, and multiple nurses came out. They're like, oh, what's her name? And we're like, Drew. And they're like, oh.
Like,
And we went to fill out the birth certificate, and we both kind of got cold feet. And Andrew's like, what should we name her? Like Vanessa? And I was like, Vanessa? Where did that come from? But I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so last question before we do our kind of closing questions. Andy, you are, I hope this isn't a sore subject, but you're somewhat known for your emotions on the court when you were an athlete. How have you guys dealt with the emotional side of things in arguments? Like, is that an issue, or how do you protect against that?
So I'm going to let you answer this first.
No, you please. Please.
So what I do on the court, it would take, I'm not sure what it would take. You're probably referring to me cussing, breaking things, arguing with umpires, et cetera, et cetera. I don't feel like that shows itself. I feel like I emoted a lot on court. I don't know that that's the case. I think, who would you say has the quicker temper between us?
I definitely have I have a bad temper. I'm definitely, I run a little hotter than Andy does for sure. But I would say like this sort of snark and cynicism that you saw in the court, you see in every conversation with Andy. So it's like a daily like needling, it's just sort of his, oh my gosh, hi baby. Hi Drew.
Say hi, Miss Brooklyn. Andy.
Oh my gosh. Perfect.
Thank you.
You're perfect.
Thank you.
Hi baby.
You say.
Brooklyn was just in the middle of a really deep conversation there, and then
don't apologize for this little dumpling into this conversation. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just curious about that because it is important. What are you guys talking about? Having another one then? Is that what's happening?
I want a ton of Andy's done.
We don't have enough time on this podcast.
I want more. And as we're in quarantine, I'm like, look how cute they are. We could do another one. Andy's not.
Sean and the Drew of things isn't helping me right
really
now.
Helping.
To be honest.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know I liked babies this much, man. But they're cool. They're great.
Same.
It only gets better.
Yeah. Same. But fighting. We're both incredibly fiery and incredibly opinionated, and we both love a good debate. And so, I mean, we have some knockdown dragouts, or have had them. We have them less now. Yeah. But I think they're funny. Like, I think seeing people, like, I don't know. I like get it all off my chest, and then I'm fine, and I think it's all hilarious. And he stews for a few days. So we really
So I don't explode. Like it's not like when I was in the court. I kind of
that's true.
Keep it in and kind of I'm quiet. I go, and then she would, I think, be more what you expect from me based on my personality on court. I think that's the way she is.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Lower and more smoldering.
I think we're switched. I kind of find entertainment in it, and then Sean harbors it. I was laughing at your interview with Steve Harvey, Brooklyn, where you said you were a contrarian, and he didn't know what it was, but I'm the same way. I love playing devil's advocate and like just presenting, just kind of stoking the fire a little bit.
Sometimes he'll argue an opinion that he doesn't even believe in just because he wants to argue it. And I get so pissed because then at the end he's like, no, I take your side. I just wanted to play devil's advocate. Like we just argued for 30 minutes for nothing.
Yeah.
But
she'll
that's what I do.
She'll kind of keep poking a little bit.
I just think it's so fun. I love it. I don't love fighting, but I do love tension. I think
debate.
Tension.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's fun for one.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are our last 3 questions. One of you has to choose to go first without knowing the question.
You go first.
Mm-mm.
Me? I'll go first.
Okay, really hard. What is your biggest pet peeve with Andy?
My problem is narrowing it down to one.
So many. No, I would say he's very on edge. Like he's a bit of a helicopter parent, and it puts me. Like my blood pressure rises as I see him react to things, and otherwise I'm super relaxed. So that's my biggest pet peeve is like this. They're gonna fall, and then everyone freaks out. That's it for me.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say, right?
Messiness.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She is a human hurricane. She comes in like I'll leave for an hour and a half, go work out, come back, and like it's just.
He says you can walk around the house and see where I've been.
100%. It's just a pile of stuff. Like,
We're
like
totally stopped, guys.
And she's like, he's a human. She's like, I'm getting organized. I'm like, that's an interesting way to do it.
But you know where everything is.
Yep, that's right.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not true because
exactly.
like, where did I? No, I can't find this. I can't find that.
My phone.
Probably because someone picks it up.
I can never find my phone because he's putting it away all the time. He's like,
and I get in trouble for cleaning. I'm like,
for like 24 hours because he's put it away somewhere.
And she's like, I'll get it. I'm like, I don't want to wait that
long. That's literally us.
Hurricane Decker is in.
Yep.
Part 2 of the question. So now, Andy, you have to go first. What's the one thing you love the most about Brooklyn?
She always thinks about other people first, and she always makes sure someone else is comfortable. She always is thoughtful with people for birthdays, just like little gestures. I place more stock on like the result, and she places more stock on like the personal process with things. So she's extremely giving and really never wants anything for herself. It's an admirable quality.
Thanks.
Okay, Brooklyn.
My favorite thing about Andy.
Beat that.
Ooh. So he's very good at advocating for himself and the people he loves, which sounds sort of strange, but like little things where, for example, this is a minor example, but I can be bulldozed over easily, even though I'm the one who likes to argue and debate. I can easily be bulldozed over, and Andy's very like, this is a minor example. It's not a great example at all, but like, we had some neighborhood construction going on, and they wanted to cut off our power today and to do this construction. And they came over with no notice, and they're like, we're going to cut off the power. And Andy's really good about being like, no, we actually have a full schedule of like meetings and calls, and you can't cut off the power. I know this is like not a great example, but I would have been like, okay. And then the power's off, and we're all sitting there with all this stuff to do. And I wouldn't have like been able to speak up for myself. He's really good about advocating for himself, for me, for our kids. If our kids need something, if we're having a hard time, like even in the hospital, like checking bilirubin levels for jaundice, like he was really good about being like, we need to stay on top of this. Like, I think it's funny because it's kind of part of the thing I said was my pet peeve is like him helicoptering and being on top of things, but it's also one of my favorite qualities. He's a really good advocate for the people he loves.
That's great. Cute. Well, no, not yet. We have to talk about, you guys have a lot going on. And the reason that we're big fans of you is you make it a priority to give back. And so I'd love for you guys to just talk about the Andy Roddick Foundation, and then you have the Love All campaign going on. If you guys could dive in.
Sure. And thank you for asking. I'll start with the foundation. The Andy Roddick Foundation, we started 20 years ago. We did a tennis clinic in a parking lot and raised like $2,000, and we thought that was it. And, it's just grown, and we've kind of found our focus in out of school time programming, so after school and summer learning opportunities in lower socioeconomic areas of Austin. So it's different than the school year because we work focused on team building, focused on being able to converse with other kids your age. It's K through 5th grade, growing sustainable foods. There's a personal fitness element of it, and it's just kind of grown. Our first school that we started was 78 kids, and now we serve over 7,000 a day, and that'll grow to close to 40,000 a day in 3 years. So it's just kind of like you do a bunch of little things, and then all of a sudden it grows. Our staff is amazing. Our CEO is amazing. Austin's kind of bought in a little bit, and actually Brooke was the inspiration for the Love All thing. We're doing I'm working on Tennis Channel kind of through the end of this the pandemic we're in. And so they were the digital side of them. We're trying to figure out videos we could put on, and they had some other ideas. I'm like, why don't we just have user content? People send in great things they've seen in the community, whether it's dropping off food or whether it's, saying thank you to the people that are keeping us, operating with delivery people. And she did a really cool thing with Austin on Instagram and supporting some small businesses. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So we, I think right now what's so unique about this pandemic is that for those of us who are lucky enough to be home and not be on the front lines, like contrary to sort of any other, you think about like hurricane relief, you think about terrorist attacks, like there are ways for us to sort of galvanize as a community and come together and support each other. And this is sort of the first thing that we've gone through, right, in our lifetimes where we're at home, locked away by ourselves, unable to actually physically help people, which I think people are having a hard time with. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but it feels like we want to do so much, but we can't physically do anything, right? It's hard to physically do things. And so outside of frontline workers, two of our big concerns were families who can't afford to put food on the table because they've lost their jobs, and also these small businesses. Like we've seen this boom in small businesses in the last 10 years. And I think in the next 10 days, 41% of them will shutter. It's devastating. And so we bought a bunch of gift cards to a local restaurant group in Austin, and we went on Instagram and we said the first 20 people to claim one of these gift cards, we'll just mail it to you. And so it's kind of two birds with one stone. You're supporting local businesses and you're also helping to get food on the table of people who need it most. Bye, Drew. Is she leaving us? Bye. Oh my gosh. So that was just one thing we did. We're going to try to do things like that kind of every week to support different businesses and different causes. And Tennis Channel is doing a really good job of like, let's amplify these stories. Like you guys were saying, game night with your friends, like sharing those little sort of like, rays of sunshine, I think are what people need right now. And people want to be seeing that right now. So I think it's really that you guys are sharing that.
Love that. Okay. Best relationship advice that you've either received or would give based off experience.
I'll go first.
Go.
Yes.
So one that my mom gave me, has always told me my whole life, and obviously really sort of hammered into me once we got married, was always put your marriage before your children, which as you guys can see and feel, I'm sure that feels so counterintuitive because this little nugget is a part of you, physically a part of you. And it's really hard to put your spouse ahead of this like body that came out of you. But her argument for it was if you put your marriage ahead of your children, even if you're faking it to your kids, your children win. And that's what my parents did. Like, I remember being upset with one of my parents for something and they would always defend each other. And it was so frustrating to me. But now I see that their unity is what helped my brother and I thrive. And so Andy and I have, I think, done a pretty good job of that. Even if we're faking it in the moment, like there have been times where I take Andy's side and I'm looking at him like, I'm mad at what he's saying, but I take his side in front of the kids. And that I think has been really good for the kids to know that they have kind of a solid unit to look to.
One thing that I think is important, and we're constantly learning and evolving and trying to check in on it, is I think you have to learn, the good times are fantastic, but I actually think there's value in learning how to communicate during times where you don't agree. So it's almost like learning how to fight. And she's, and I think there's actually value in that. Like I told one of my buddies, and this is going to sound weird, but he was asking, certain things. I said, like, listen, finding the person that you love is great. You also need to find someone that you can successfully disagree with for the rest of your life. And I think that's part of something that never actually gets talked about. And it evolves too, because your personalities change the way like you mentioned my reputation as a player and what I was like. And so you're bringing all those memories into kind of an evolved person that you hope you're becoming. And so it's a constantly kind of changing malleable thing, but I think learning how to fight and having rules around it is important.
Thank you guys so much.
Walking around, I'm listening.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit down with us. If you listening want to find out more about the Andy Roddick Foundation or the Love All campaign and submit the content yourselves, you can find that in the show notes down below. There's links to that, as well as all the social handles as well. Hey, we're big fans of you guys. So
you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
We're fans of y'all as well. Thank you for having us. We loved meeting you guys a month ago.
You too.
So thank you for having us on.
I'm sure I'll text you about 1,000 more times, Andy. Look forward to it.
I can't wait. Now that I know it's eight texts and then you quit, it's going to be a really awkward thing when 7 comes through.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Good luck with teething.